I think cryptography is one of the coolest topics in this IT career. We're going to take a look at it from a few different angles. And just the fact that we can take a message and encrypt it and later on decrypt it just is really fascinating to me. In this video, let's cover what we're going to be going over in this course. You don't necessarily need to know everything about cryptography to be successful in this IT career, but you definitely need a base knowledge and a base understanding of how it functions. In fact, it's so important, it shows up in a lot of different certifications. In fact, the objectives for this course was taken from a lot of different certifications, some of the certifications that you see here. This course is broken down into 4 sections. The first section is going to be why and where we use cryptography. Then we'll get into cryptography and how it works. We'll talk about public key infrastructure, or PKI, and then we'll talk about transport layer security, or TLS. With why cryptography, we're going to get into why and where we use cryptography. We'll cover the reasoning why cryptography is becoming more and more critical to our information security. And if we choose to ignore it, what the impact could be to the businesses and organizations that we manage. We'll also get into the 5 pillars of authenticity and what that looks like. We'll talk about different levels in which we could apply cryptography at, and we'll get into public key infrastructure, digital certificates, and digital signatures. Next, we get into the main event, cryptography and how it works. We're going to start by going over some definitions about what cryptography is and a few other definitions as it applies to cryptography. We'll start talking about branches of cryptography, whether it's hashing or encryption, whether it's symmetrical keys or asymmetrical keys. We're going to get into a lot of different aspects when it comes to cryptography. We'll get into what keys are and how it plays a role in securing your data. We'll get into hashing and how it creates a unique fingerprint for data. We'll talk about how we use hashing to secure passwords and how we use things like salt and pepper to make sure that that hash is even more secure. We'll also get into the differences between symmetric and asymmetric keys and take a more in-depth look into each one of those. Once we have a great understanding of cryptography, we can then take that and apply it to public key infrastructure, or PKI. We'll talk about the processes behind public key infrastructure. Everything from creating a secure certificate, and then we would install that certificate on a web server, and then the end user's client's machine would take that certificate and download it and verify that it's connecting to the right source. We'll get into hierarchy trust and other type of trusts and how we end up trusting some website that we've never actually connected to before. And how do we go through that process of verifying that website and trusting that website. And we'll also get into certificate revocation and how we recall certificates that may have been compromised. And public key infrastructure is a key point to how transport layer security works. TLS is the actual protocols that keeps our communications secure. So we'll talk about how TLS is used to really secure the protocols that we've already developed. We'll get into different protocols within the TLS protocol, one of them being the TLS record protocol, and we'll talk about different record content types. Then we'll talk about the TLS handshake and what the TLS handshake protocol looks like. And in the end, you'll understand how we can connect to a site that we've never connected to in the past, but still communicate securely and have a certain level of trust in that site.